Have you ever looked at a celebrity photo for 2 seconds and suddenly the entire internet is convinced something must be wrong? Because that is exactly what is happening with Selena Gomez right now. Selena was recently spotted in London while filming Only Murders in the building alongside Martin Short and Steve Martin. And while some fans are simply happy to see her working and enjoying herself, other people immediately started worrying about her appearance. Some fans think she looks exhausted, and honestly, I can understand why people might notice that she looks tired after everything she has had going on, but I also think there is a much bigger conversation here about how quickly we turn a single photograph into a story about someone's well-being. So today I want to get into those London photos, why fans are concerned, everything Selena has been working on, and why I personally don't think we should jump to the conclusion that something is wrong with her. And before I get into all of that, welcome back to my channel. If you're brand new here, I talk about celebrity news, internet drama, entertainment, and all the things people are talking about online. So if you want somebody to keep you company while we unpack all of this, make sure you subscribe. And seriously, before I continue, I just want to say thank you. I genuinely appreciate every single person who watches my videos, comments, shares them, or simply spends a few minutes here with me. I know we're talking about pop culture, but I really love the community we've created here. It feels like we can come together, laugh, disagree, talk about celebrities, and still look out for one another. So thank you for being here and for making this channel such a special place for me. Now, let's talk about Selena. The photos coming out of London show her on the set of Only Murders in the building with Martin Short and Steve Martin. And the first thing that stood out to me was actually how happy she looked. I know some people immediately focused on whether she looked tired, but when I looked at the pictures, I also saw somebody who appeared to be enjoying being around people she has worked with for years. And honestly, I love seeing Selena with Martin Short and Steve Martin, because there is something so comforting about that trio. They have such a unique chemistry, and whenever I see them together, it reminds me why Only Murders in the Building became such a huge part of Selena's career. I also love that Selena seems to continue making time for fans whenever she is out working. Even when she is busy, she often acknowledges people, waves, says hello, or stops for a quick interaction. I think that says a lot about the kind of connection she has with the people who support her. Of course, I also understand why some fans are concerned. When you follow someone for years, you naturally start noticing changes in their appearance. You might see someone looking more tired than usual, and your first instinct can be to wonder whether they are okay. But this is where I think we have to be careful. A photograph captures 1 second. That's it. We don't know what happened 5 minutes before the picture was taken, how long Selena had already been filming, whether she had been working all day, whether she had just finished a difficult scene, or whether she simply had a normal tired day. And honestly, I think all of us have looked exhausted in a random photograph at some point. I know I have. So I don't want to take one picture of Selena and suddenly create a narrative that she's struggling or that something terrible is happening behind the scenes. I would much rather look at the bigger picture. And when I look at Selena's career lately, I see somebody who has been incredibly busy. She has continued acting, working on Only Murders in the Building, managing Rare Beauty, making appearances, participating in promotional projects, and building a life outside of work as well. That is a lot for anyone. So, yes, could she look tired after a long day on set? Absolutely. But being tired isn't automatically a sign that somebody is unhealthy or unhappy. Sometimes tired just means tired, and I think that's an important distinction. I also think Selena has learned a lot about boundaries over the years. Watching her career, I feel like she has become much more intentional about what she shares, what she keeps private, and how she handles her personal life. After everything she has experienced publicly, I don't think she needs millions of strangers deciding what she should or shouldn't be doing based on a photograph. If Selena feels that she needs to rest, I believe she is capable of making that decision for herself. And if she wants to work because she genuinely enjoys what she is doing, I think that's valid too. Sometimes we forget that celebrities can actually love their jobs. When somebody has spent years wanting opportunities, finally getting those opportunities can make them want to take advantage of every moment. And I can understand that. I also think there is something deeper happening here, because Selena has openly built a career that goes far beyond acting. She's not just an actress anymore. She has music, television, movies, business, beauty, fashion, and an enormous public platform. Rare Beauty alone is a massive operation. There are product launches, campaigns, meetings, creative decisions, promotional shoots, appearances, and countless things happening behind the scenes that we never see. So, when I see Selena working constantly, I don't necessarily interpret that as somebody being forced to work. I can also see it as somebody who has found something she loves and is determined to build the life and career she wants. At the same time, I don't want to romanticize being constantly busy. There is definitely a difference between being passionate about your career and pushing yourself beyond your limits. That's why I keep coming back to the idea of boundaries. I think boundaries are important for everybody, celebrity or not. We can't expect other people to automatically know when we are overwhelmed, when we need space, when we need rest, or when something isn't good for us. Sometimes we have to communicate those things ourselves. And honestly, I'm learning that too. I think a lot of us grow up believing that taking care of everyone else should come before taking care of ourselves, but eventually you realize that if you're completely drained, you can't show up for other people in the way you want to. Sometimes saying no is necessary. Sometimes stepping away is necessary. Sometimes choosing yourself is necessary. And I think Selena has become much better at understanding that. That's why I don't want to compare her situation to what fans are saying about other young actresses and performers. I've seen people compare Selena to Ariana Grande and Jenna Ortega because fans are increasingly worried about the way some celebrities look when they are working nonstop. But I think every person has a completely different situation, different schedule, different lifestyle, different responsibilities, and different boundaries. I don't think we need to turn every celebrity into part of the same conversation. Selena is Selena. Ariana is Ariana. Jenna is Jenna. We can care about all of them without assuming that they are experiencing the same thing. And honestly, I hope this doesn't become another cycle where fans take a few photographs, make assumptions, and then spend weeks analyzing somebody's body, face, weight, expressions, or energy. I think we've done enough of that to celebrities. I also wanted to address something else that has been circulating because I've seen people talking about Selena's television projects and making claims that aren't necessarily accurate. There have been conversations online suggesting that Only Murders in the Building was somehow canceled because of Selena, and I don't think we should present that as fact without reliable confirmation. Television decisions can be complicated. Ratings, production costs, contracts, scheduling, creative decisions, audience numbers, and network strategy can all play a role. We shouldn't automatically put the responsibility on one person just because they're one of the most recognizable stars attached to a show. And honestly, I think that kind of narrative is unfair to Selena. She has been an important part of Only Murders in the Building, and her chemistry with Martin Short and Steve Martin is one of the things that made the series so recognizable. Whatever ultimately happens with the show, I don't think it makes sense to turn Selena into the villain of the story. Beyond Only Murders, Selena also has plenty happening in her professional life. She continues to have her Rare Beauty responsibilities, and that alone could easily keep someone busy. A beauty brand isn't just about putting your name on a product. There are teams, launches, campaigns, meetings, creative decisions, advertising, photography, interviews, and business strategy. Selena is clearly involved in the public-facing side of that world, and it's another major commitment alongside acting. That's why when people say, "She looks tired," my reaction is basically, Of course, she might look tired sometimes. She's human. She works. She travels. She has responsibilities. She has long days. I would be more concerned if we saw a consistent pattern of something genuinely alarming and verified, but I don't think a few candid photographs give us enough information to make that judgment. And another thing I really appreciate about Selena is that she doesn't seem to feel the need to explain every single moment of her life. There was a time when celebrities were expected to constantly respond to rumors, defend themselves, explain their relationships, explain their appearances, and reassure the public that everything was okay. I actually think it's healthier when someone doesn't feel obligated to do that. Selena doesn't owe the internet a daily health report. She doesn't owe strangers an explanation for looking tired. She doesn't owe us a perfect photograph every time she steps outside. And I think that's something fans should remember. We can care about celebrities without treating them like characters who have to provide constant updates. We can say, "I hope she's doing okay," without turning that concern into a declaration that something must be wrong. Those are two very different things. So when I look at these London pictures, I personally see Selena doing something she has clearly done for years: working. I see her surrounded by familiar faces, continuing a project she has been part of for a long time, interacting with fans, and seemingly enjoying herself. If she is tired, I hope she gets the rest she needs. If she is happy, I'm happy for her. If she's having a difficult day, I hope she has people around her who support her. But I don't think we need to create a crisis out of a photograph. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway I have from all of this. We can be fans without becoming investigators of every facial expression. We can care without assuming. We can support without invading someone's privacy. And we can recognize that sometimes a celebrity simply looks tired because they had a long day. I know that might not be the most dramatic conclusion, but honestly, I think sometimes the least dramatic explanation is the most reasonable one. Selena has worked incredibly hard to build the career she has today, and I think she deserves to enjoy the opportunities that come with it while also having the freedom to step back when she needs to. So for now, I'm choosing not to panic over these London photos. I'm choosing to look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture tells me that Selena appears to be continuing to work, create, build her businesses, and live her life. And if she looks a little tired after filming, well, best friend, so do I after a long day. I think we're all allowed to have those moments. I just hope fans continue to give Selena the same grace and understanding that they would want for themselves. Because at the end of the day, behind the celebrity, behind the makeup, behind the cameras, behind the red carpets, there is still a real person who gets tired, gets overwhelmed, laughs, has bad days, has good days, and deserves privacy. So I'm going to keep watching the situation, but I'm not going to assume the worst. And I want to know what you think. When you look at the new pictures of Selena in London, do you think she genuinely looks exhausted? Or do you think she simply looks like somebody who has been working a long day? Do you think fans are becoming too quick to diagnose what's happening in a celebrity's personal life based on photographs? Let me know in the comments, because I always love hearing your perspective. And if you enjoyed hanging out with me today, make sure you subscribe so we can keep talking about all the pop culture chaos together. I love you guys so much. Thank you for spending part of your day with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.